chit chat. Grab your popcorn, sit tight, we're ready to roll. In the heart of Sacktown, we're feeding your soul. In the King's Court, the vibe's electric. If you don't like that, we're here to correct it. With the best in the game, we're raising the bar. From the hardwood to the airways, we're the King's shining star. With the NFL, Adams in the ring. Rhino's got the wisdom, hear the praises we sing. Court in session, it's a royal affair. With the fans all around, feel the passion in the air. In the King's Court, the vibe's electric. If you don't like that, we're here to correct it. With the best in the game, we're raising the bar. From the hardwood to the airways, we're the King's shining star.
You made it.
Order in the court.
What's going on? Court's in session. Hope you're having a good Friday. King's Court coming to you for a couple of hours. It is Wrestling Shirt Friday, meaning we've got Adam coming on at the end of the show for our weekly wrestling segment. I'm sure some of you probably wanted to wrestle me last night. I put the jinx on the Kings. I had my tail between my legs after what I saw in the early game with the Spurs. Oh my gosh. San Antonio. I'm like, okay, so here's what you want. You want Charlotte to win, but you don't want them to win by a large margin. They passed the Kings in the standing. At one point, they were up over, I think it was close to 30 points. And it's like, all right, the Kings are going to need some major help to be able to get into the Final Four. Look, here's the evidence. Likely has been eliminated, but there's a lot of possibilities, and we'll run through them. But here's what's most important. You've got the Spurs, and you also have the Hornets facing off today. One of those teams will not be undefeated anymore, meaning the best result for us in Sacramento, you probably want to see Charlotte instead of San Antonio. So you would like to see Charlotte win out, but you don't want to see Charlotte blow out San Antonio. You definitely don't want that. A San Antonio win definitely knocks Charlotte out. Let me put myself down so you can see the other net. They ended up winning by 25 points, but the Kings got the help that they needed. They snuck in the back door, meaning they will be playing tomorrow, Saturday, in the first semifinals game against the Raptors, 1 o'clock start. We can talk about the game, how the teams match up. Jacoby Walter, who is a second-year guy. He was in last year's draft, a name that was well circulated here in Sacktown last year around draft time. He's their go-to guy. He's playing really well, and we'll look at the rosters, and you'll see they're pretty experienced too. Some names that you don't really recognize. Jamal Sheed's on there. You do know him. So we'll get into that. Toronto had a very, very good net rating coming into this, and it's funny how they got to their net rating because they had one game that was just absolutely atrocious, and then the rest were kind of blowouts. So how will the two teams match up? We can talk all about it. Here's the schedule for the weekend. So all you need to know right there, Saturday, Kings, 1 o'clock. And then also the other game is going to be Oklahoma City and Charlotte. Charlotte, with their win last night, OKC was it, I believe, near the top in net rating. They jumped them in the standings. So Charlotte, OKC, the winner of that. And our game will go on to play Sunday right there. Bottom line for you, that will be the last game of Summer League. I know it doesn't mean anything. You're not raising any banners. However, one, it's good experience for the young guys to play in some games that matter. I mean, Yeah, all these games matter, but to be the last one on the court, I think that's a big deal. And also, just for the morale of the fan base, it's better than losing. We're not going to sit here and hang our hats and say our season win total has changed because the Kings won Summer League, but you get to see Neat Clifford operate against some better players. Now, you're down to the best four teams in Vegas. So, a lot of talk about that today. Also, I want to get into the WNBA. Okay, I can hear you now going, oh, really? We're going to talk about the WNBA. Their CBA was going to be up next season, or the players had an option to opt out of the CBA. So meaning they would have to come to the table and start to negotiate a new one for future seasons. And the principal complaints of the players, now this wasn't really in writing, but there's a lot of talk about how the officiating in the WNBA is subpar to many players, some fans, some coaches. The talking back, the chatter, it is what it is. It's part of the game. But when you have Caitlin Clark audibly on TV telling an official to grow up, it's not really a great look, right? So that's not on the big list that's highlighted, but what is higher salaries. Okay, I can understand that. They also want revenue sharing. There's a big problem with revenue sharing in the WNBA. Not saying that they don't deserve it by any means, but there is a massive issue when it comes to revenue sharing. Maybe you can put something in place for the future, but last time I checked, the WNBA has never been profitable. So if you have any takes on that, you want to talk about that, WNBA All-Star Weekend this weekend in Indiana. Be interesting to see if any NBAers show up and participate. That would really be great. I would say the WNBA players would be grateful for that. Caitlin Clark out of All-Star Weekend. She got hurt a few days ago, dealing with a groin injury again. So we'll get to the WNBA, and I'm not sure if you've been tracking what's been going on with the NFLPA. Is there any surprise that the NFLPA is now being tied to strippers and strip clubs? What is the fascination with NFL players and strip clubs? So, if you are the Players Association, are you shocked if the association takes a player to the strip club? Well, this goes way beyond that. Pablo Torre has done an excellent job. He's really been the one that single-handedly peeled this onion back, and it has caused the president of the Players Association to resign. We'll dig into the details of that later in the show. And then also, I keep saying it, I'm really starting to turn my opinion on Scott Perry. Things are kind of changing for me. The Kings released a video that was basically a 5-minute summary of leading up to the draft and then actual draft day, a very brief glimpse into the Kings war room. But what was notable to me was I didn't see Vivek on the video, number one, or I didn't see him in the gym either when the Kings were working out prospects. But there is something that I am really digging about Scott Perry. I just like it. I'm feeling it right now. Now that can change on the drop of a dime, but I'm kind of feeling what he's doing in that building. And now the next step that I'm trying to climb is he kind of doing what we've wanted a GM to do? Either not be a yes man or be able to play the game a little bit better than Vivek. I'm not sure. Maybe he can play the game a little better than we thought. So maybe we will get to that audio as well. And then obviously all of you on a Friday, thanks for being here. What's going on this weekend? Any plans? Let me know in the chat. Oh, by the way, Vlad hit me up. And I want to remind all of you, if you have suggestions for the show, don't be shy to hit me up. I am open to listening to your ideas. Now, If it's a haunted horse segment talking about things that Haunted Horse talks about on his show, probably not going to happen here, right? But Vlad hit me up and he's like, this might be a good idea during the slow times. And I looked at it. So we might be instituting a new segment around that. So good job, Vlad. Y'all can do that as well. Adam, first one in on a Friday. What's up, dude?
Woo!
Welcome to the party. Dennis in the house already. BJ, yo, what's going on? I know Adam's probably pumped up for the wrestling segment later today. Happy Friday to you, Aaron. Everybody's staying cool. It's actually pretty nice weather. Not going to lie. We've had a nice breeze the last few days. Great shirt. You like that? There you go. There you go, Adam. I told you I was going to dig deep for old school wrestling shirts. Goodwill had a run on these old AEW wrestling shirts. So I got like 3 of them. Yeah, let's go. Wrestling shirts are so expensive. But yet when you go to an event, you got to get one. You know what I mean if you've been to an event. The shitbirds are out in the King's Court. I can recognize and acknowledge that.
Acknowledge me. You're going to acknowledge me.
I acknowledge all of you. If you're holding the plus 3,000 ticket, the Kings are still alive. Do you think the Kings are going to win the championship in Vegas? Does it even matter to you? Justin. Justin's stirring the pot. Come on, man. That's. Do we need to go back? Is this going to continue to jump?
Nobody's going to be a moron when they love this team, is what I'm saying.
Is this going to jump the week? Good job, though, Justin. I can give you a woo for that. Let's see. BJ, cool hat. Thank you. You like the corduroy? I usually don't. I'm not flat bill guy. That's not usually my style, but I was kind of digging this hat, so it is what it is. Like, is there a rule? Like, I kind of have a rule about adults wearing jerseys. There's certain exceptions, like dad and son. There's a dad and son exception, like the mid-level exception, where if son's wearing a jersey and you want to wear the same jersey as son, okay, I get that. I can get with it. But, like, just adults in jerseys, kind of like adults in flat bills, like over a certain age, like me. I'm 40. I'm 41 now. So I think I've passed the flat bill age. There's so many of those unwritten rules about clothes. What is it for women? It's like the white pants or the white shorts can't be worn after Labor Day. There's some weird ones out there. I'm telling you. Thank God for Wrestling Fridays. There's a lot of talk about with wrestling. A ton. When's Mason coming back? Good question. Look, you don't get injury reports. There's not going to be reporting when it comes to the Summer League. I have not poked my nose around to see if Mace is going to possibly be able to come back. But you're going to be ultra cautious when it comes to Mason Jones. There's no reason. And Mace is probably going to be the opposite. Mace is going to want to get on that floor as quickly as possible. So, you know what, Dennis, we've answered our own question. If Mason Jones can play, he will find his way to the floor. If he can't, he's hurt. He's just that type of dude. What's up, Rhino? Kings in 2, right? Kings in 2. Toronto, we can look at Toronto's numbers. In fact, why don't we go and check out the rosters right now, and I'll give you some numbers on Toronto as we look at that. But Toronto's an interesting team to me because they're kind of like the Kings in a sense. They're in flux with that team, and can their star, quote unquote star, Scotty Barnes, stay healthy? Yet to be seen. But their first game against Chicago, check this out. And I will give Toronto credit here. Their defense is pretty good. Against Chicago, who was one of the worst teams in Summer League, by the way, they beat them 116-72, and they forced 34 turnovers. 34 turnovers. Their next game against Orlando was a 3-point victory. Game after that. Oh, you know what? I opened with incorrect information. They played close games except for one big blowout. That's exactly what it was. That's why their net rating was so high. You got Denver that they beat 101-97. Golden State yesterday 81-69. So it's really about shutting down Jacoby Walter. Can you shut Jacoby Walter down? They're not a good team in the first quarter. Can the Kings be a good team in the first quarter? Actually, with the exception of last game, the Kings have been pretty good right off the bat. In fact, over Summer League, Toronto is minus 21 in the first quarter. So the Kings need to come out and hop on them right away. Second quarters, they're plus 37. Third quarters, plus 29. And fourth quarters, plus 18. So there's your recipe right there. If you're the Kings, you got to give them your best punch right out of the gate. Get up on them. Because it's a team that doesn't look like they like to play from behind. If your differentials are that big, plus 37 second quarter, plus 29 third quarter, plus 18 fourth quarter, that means that you're kind of probably climbing yourself back into a game. So yeah, they can come from behind. So punch them in the mouth, see what happens, see if Mace is available. You're going to need your best version, by the way, of Isaac Jones. You're going to need that. Can you get something extra from Isaiah Stevens, who finished the game a couple of days ago? And one thing the Kings have going for them is they've gotten a lot of rest in Vegas. Now, I get that those two things don't usually go together, rest in Vegas, but some teams have had back-to-backs. The Kings haven't. The Kings have been off since Wednesday. So, and will Toronto, are they going to pull anybody back? Are they going to go for it too? I kind of see them going for it, to be honest with you. I don't see why you wouldn't go for it with the guys. Maybe you're cautious with Jacoby Walter, but I doubt it. They're going to want to grab this for their fan base as well. Because, again, it's a very good fan base in Toronto. They've just been kind of in flux ever since winning the championship and dealing with injuries. They've got a damn good regular coach in Darko. He's known for one of the best drops in sports as of today. I also wanted to remind you, we have this coming soon. We talk about the slow times in the summer because when Saturday is over, when this weekend's over, Sunday, sports are going to be really slow, with the exception of NFL training camps and also baseball. But you know what that means? NFL training camps mean we're going to start getting some.
Everybody involved. For me, it's a reminder. I too been here 23 years. And it is a reminder. I've been here when it was glory hole days, and I've been here when it wasn't. And so having said that, I want me some glory hole.
We're going to start getting some Jerry. You know, we break down Jerry Jones's interviews on the Fan. We'll get plenty of that. So anyways, if you want me to do all the heavy lifting today, I am happy to do it. I'd love to have you call. We can get into those calls as well. I'm the only show going on the channel, so no Grant tonight. Here's a question for you. If the Kings win tomorrow, do you want a post game? Is that something that you would be interested in if they win tomorrow? Certainly the championship game, probably, if they get there. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but would you want a post game? Let me know. We'll kick it around as the show goes along. Here is the link again if you would like to call, or you can scan the QR code that is on the screen. On Fridays, you can take the show. We call it Royal Rumble Friday. You can take the show any direction you want to. So, like, I believe Matt called in last week and he got his bodybuilding in. So if there's something obscure within the confines of appropriateness in this court, I'm happy to talk
Order in
about
the
it
court.
with you. So use the phone lines in. Actually, multiple people can come on at the same time if you want to. We will allow that today. So, yes, if they win or when they win, there you go. I like that. Tristan, what's up, dude? Safe search on if you Google that one. Yes, I would agree. Not suitable for work. Do not Google that. Patrick, to be honest, I couldn't get into summer camp this year or MLB. Interesting about MLB. She got two teams right there in front of you. I know that we do here, basically in Northern California as well. Do y'all get into NFL training camps? I dig NFL training camps. I know Grant said it last night. I caught a tad bit of his comments. Training camps, injuries happen. I hate that part of it. You know, guys are going to go down. But I do like watching the training camps and what goes down. And you got the Juwan Jennings situation in San Francisco. He plans to show up. Last that we have heard, Kyle Shanahan had a press conference a couple of weeks ago before they began OTAs. So, Frisco fan, Niners fan, how are you feeling about this season? I think one team that I'm kind of circling, actually, I am circling. If it's going to be their year, I think it's going to be the Bengals. I know that they've got to get their defensive end figured out in that contract situation, but Joe Burrow is just too good. And they've got great guys on the outsides. So I just feel like, that charge they made at the end of the season last season where they almost made the playoffs. They would have been the first team to make the playoffs after starting off, I believe it's 0-3. I just think they're going to get it together this year. And conversely, Buffalo, who has all the pressure in the world on them, is it a situation with Buffalo that if they're not performing to par during the season, that Sean McDermott could get canned right there on the spot and they go a different direction at head coach? I kind of think it's going to be, that's a hot seat. Buffalo's window has been open for a minute. So let me know how you feel on all that stuff. Having somebody over 7 foot who can play. Okay, we're back to the max. Talk about analyzing summer league analytics, courts in session. Yes, we get a little deep here on the King's Court into that stuff. We are basketball junkies. Malcolm Brogdon would be really nice for us as a backup point guard if healthy. There was a report. Who put it out? I want to make sure I'm accurate on this one. There was a report that and doesn't mean that Ben Simmons is in the Kings market, but Jake Fisher put out for Ben Simmons. The two teams were hearing that that makes no sense. That we're hearing that are still. Wow, that's a mouthful. Ben Simmons, comma. The two teams we're hearing that are still, with no space in between the still, in the mix are Sacramento and New York. I like Ben Simmons in Sacramento. I think that would help out the defensive side of the ball with that second unit. Because I think your second unit is your unit that can probably turn some defense into offense. It's not going to be your first unit. Max looking good at 7'1". Yeah, we talked about it yesterday. He's going to get stronger. If you watched how he was setting screens at Summer League, you can't do that. He's going to either get called for the foul or he's going to get ran through. You can't put your arms up like that, set screens. And that's simply a strength thing. So put him on the Keegan Murray plan. He'll be fine in a couple of years. The skill set, the floor version, definitely there. This is the guy that everybody wants to go to a strip club with. And this is the guy that everybody is talking about right now here in Sacktown, Neat Clifford, and what the ultimate plan for him is going to look like. I think it's going to be a mixed bag this season. I know a lot are reluctant to talk about him at the point, but I could definitely see a line coming at you where you've got him, Monk, and Keon on the floor at the same time. Because Keon can switch around and he can guard a three if necessary. That's the biggest question about Neek Clifford right now to me. It's not about playmaking. It's definitely not about being able to create his own shot. It's not about IQ. It's can he guard a starting three or even a backup three in the NBA? His build is great. It's the height that I worry about. So Carter is 6'3", I thought. Yeah, you can't really believe the sizes, by the way. Flat bills are for mosh pitters. Okay, which ones? Is it the hockey mask mosh pitters? Is it the karate style? The freestyle? Which mosh pitters, Justin? Got to be more specific. Summer League Kings need Devin Carter to make his attempts. Yes, the Kings play different when Devin Carter is making threes. I would agree with you. I mean, it's true of most players and teams. If you're making threes, the team's playing better. But what I would look at for Devin is shot selection. That's what I want to look at. As you only might get 40 minutes more to look at him, but shot selection for sure. But defensively, for anybody that's been watching, what's been your opinion of his defense this summer? I've been kind of in the middle. I expected more, considering that's the strength of his game. And I know he's technically he is a second year guy, but technically he is not. He's already shown us he can do it at times on the NBA level. So I was expecting a little tiny bit more. Not trying to be hard on the guy, but he's been put in a really weird situation. I mean, the Kings, maybe they have behind closed doors, but Scott Perry has made it pretty clear that we either need you to be able to run the backup point or we might not need you at all. It's kind of the way that I've read the room on that. So Patrick, we're talking about that. Want to make sure say hi to everybody before we get into the meat and potatoes. The Clippers look scary on paper. Yeah, they do. I get it. Bradley Beal, $5 million. I guess this goes back to last season. Okay, I think this is a great example. Last season, when the Clippers let Paul George go to Philly. I forget who it was. Maybe it was Jay. I think Jay was like, that's like the best move. They're going to be over the top. And it's like, are they going to be healthy? Are they going to be able to play? And the same question applies to the Clippers. I think John Collins is a massive pickup for them. I think he fits in really well with being able to run the floor. When you think of the Clippers, you think of athleticism. You think about quickness with Kawhi when he's playing. You can think about just domination at times offensively. I feel like if there was a game last year that kind of broke the Kings back, wasn't it the game in LA towards the end of the season? The Kings played really well that game, and Kawhi Leonard had only been back for a handful of games. And Keon Ellis played it was Keegan, because everybody was getting on Keegan. Keegan played Kawhi about as well as he could have on that play, and Kawhi hits the game winner at the buzzer in a low-scoring game. That was just like, I remember doing that post-game show, and I remember coming into that game saying, damn, how important is that game for the Kings? Let me look back really quick now that we're talking about it, because the Kings had a brutal stretch coming up, and I believe they had lost a couple as well. Let's look back at this really quick, because I am interested, because I think that kind of was the game. Give me 1 second. Regular season. There we go. So they played LA. Okay. So they played the Clippers on March 9th. It was a 111-110 overtime game. Coming into that game, and the Kings were coming off of the blowout of San Antonio when De'Aaron came back to Sacktown. The Kings had won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They had won 5 of 6 games. 5 of 6 games coming into the Clippers game. You lose the Clippers game, and then you go lost to New York, lost to Golden State, lost to Phoenix. You lose the rest. That was okay. They went back and forth between here and the Golden One Center. Yeah, to me, that is the game that I look at. Like, that would have been the run for the Kings. If I go back to February 8th, you win at New Orleans, you win at Dallas in overtime, you win at New Orleans, or excuse me, you win home versus New Orleans, you win at Dallas in overtime, you win at New Orleans. It was that 2-game back-to-back against New Orleans. You dropped the second in overtime. That was the other loss. That was the other one. That was the CJ McCollum just clinic, which we don't have to worry about, at least in New Orleans anymore. So you lose that. You lose to Golden State on your home court. You get killed by Golden State, 132-108. That's when their G League guy was just dropping threes left and right. You beat Charlotte. You beat Utah. You beat Houston. That was a big game. That was at Houston, too. You beat Dallas on the road. You lose to Denver. You win San Antonio. And then that Clippers loss. The Kings were on a decent stretch there. And I know there were some injuries mixed in. But for me, looking back, if I had to point to different back-breaking moments in the season, certainly you'd have to say the Detroit game and everything that happened with Mike Brown after it. The Clippers game, definitely. And I'm not looking for games like where the Kings should have won. I'm looking for games that the Kings played very well in. Like, I don't want the bad losses. I don't want, like, you lost to Charlotte. I don't want, what the Kings had done so many times in the last couple years. I'm talking about the games where they played well and you just felt like getting that game could have changed a lot. Certainly the Detroit game, the Clippers game. There's a few of them. Is there any that stand out to you as you look back? Curious about that. See how we get off on a tangent here in the King's Court? Just take Monk for Kuminga. I'm not ready to do that yet, Dennis. I'm sorry. I'm not. Re-sign a smaller annual figure. Both sides remain far apart in contract discussions. Yeah, I'm not giving up Monk for Kuminga right now. I'm not. Rhino, you called it. Clipper game hurt big time. Yeah, that was the backbreaker. Because they played so well. So well. And didn't they have a chance to win? Didn't somebody blow a couple of free throws? Damn. NBA seasons, although long, 82 games, there's a lot you don't remember, but they are comprised of 3, 4, 5 moments that you can remember clear as day. And that was one of them for me. If you had any, let me know. I think I don't want to just say low moments. If you want to go high moments too, one of the high points for the Kings last season. I look at the Miami Heat game in Sacktown. The Kings were coming off of a back-to-back. They were on the road the night before. Where were they on the road? So they were at Golden State. That's not a long travel. They win 129-99. You come home to Miami, who was waiting for you in Sacramento. And Miami had 2 days off. I think they had been waiting here for a couple of days. And that game went to double overtime. And this was one of those games in the midst of the Doug Christie winning streak. The Kings beat them in double overtime, but they didn't just beat them. They had more gas. They looked like the better rested team. You had Jaime Jaquez and a couple of other guys that didn't come off the court from the fourth quarter on. And those were the guys that were gassed. It wasn't the Kings. I remember that game clear as day. That was a big high point, in my opinion. And then there's some of those random moments too, like the Wizards game at home last season. It was like a Valanciunas open tryout. And that's when every fan in Sacramento is like, we need a big man. We want Valanciunas. Miami, we were in Stockton, Rhino. Not that Miami game. Not that one, my man. Home game. We did the post game for that one. So, because I thought that was a pretty cool one. Are we going back into moshing? The Greek god of mosh, Ash Hades, is here. Got to wear special gym shorts called pit shorts in the mosh pit? Huh? Mosh shorts? Why do you need different shorts for the mosh pit? I don't get it. I don't. The game wasn't on the right, but that was a road game, BJ. I'm talking about the Kings Miami home game here in Sacramento. Yeah, fun fact. Thank you for our you know what? We'll give you a for your fun fact of the day with mosh pits. BJ says the Celtics game. Yeah, that was a very good one. Good game for Devin Carter. You know, that's going to be an interesting thing for Doug Christie this season because he tended to ride the hot hand and he finished games with certain guys that didn't always or normally finish games with Mike Brown. I wonder if that stays the same or it changes now that Doug's in the seat permanently, kind of permanently, you know. I mean, if you're in that seat in Sacramento, it's always a little warm. Remember the New Orleans games? Dennis says, sign Ben Simmons. Dennis, are we printing money? Like, Dennis, you think this team is going to go over the cap? Okay. Ben Simmons. All right. I see that. You really think Al Horford, who has 5 kids, coming off of a great run, including a championship in Boston, who has already turned Boston down, you think he's going to come to Sacramento? For what? I know you're fantasy booking, dude, but no. Russ, I mean, okay. I guess this would be my counter question to many of you. Do you think when Scott Perry stepped up to the mic with Dennis Schroeder and said Schroeder was the number 1 target on our board, would you have had Westbrook over Schroeder? Let me know. Rhino is bringing down the TGIF wrestling day with reliving last season. No, it was interesting. I forget how we got there, but we did. So they have what? Oh my gosh. The bands sell the shorts. Dude, Ash, I almost want to do 20 minutes on this, but I don't. At some point, because I know there are layers to this, because you just kept digging deeper and deeper and deeper into the culture, and my eyes were just like this. They kept getting wider and wider and wider, and I'm like, is this dude making this stuff up and making it sound logical and real? Or is this really what it is? And of course, I knew it really was what it is, but I'm just like, holy crap, you just would have never known. Dennis Schroeder said this is a family place. Dennis Schroeder is going to say whatever the hell you want him to say when he's making that much money from the Kings. Like, look at the rest of the market with free agency. He's not getting paid anywhere. How much rope do we give head coach Christie if the Kings start off slow? Similar to Mike Brown's record. It's a very good question, Christopher. I do believe Doug will get this entire season. I don't think you'll see a change this season. But I'm going to be looking very closely. And if you've been watching the games in Vegas, Doug has had Woody, Mike Woodson, just kind of right there, glued to his hip at the games. And they're going back and forth. They're talking stuff and, even shouting stuff to Neek at times. Neek talked about that and having him implement it right there on the fly. I had questioned the Mike Woodson hiring because Mike was coming off of a run at the University of Indiana, a very high-profile college job that it wasn't great. It wasn't bad. It was right there in the middle. Now, he was also caught in the middle of this NIL transfer portal wild world, right? And they had already, while the season was going on, negotiated that would be his last year at Indiana. And when Mike Woodson was hired as the associate head coach, I kind of had the same reaction that I did to Dennis Schroeder. And it's like, why Mike Woodson? Is there a big demand for Mike Woodson? And I have a lot of respect for Mike Woodson's, what he's done in the NBA, his knowledge. He was part of a championship team as an assistant coach in Detroit. He is very well respected in the NBA. But when I was looking at all of Doug's other candidates that he was working through, I just didn't quite see like Mike Woodson lining up with that. If you would have said Bobby Jackson, which I'm not sure would have been a great fit as associate head coach, that would have seemed more logical to me with the way that Doug was looking at people. We heard Darius Sangaila. We had heard a lot of different names. And so it made me question if that was a Doug Christie hire or if that was a Scott Perry hire. Whether that was something Scott kind of pushed on Doug. Because Scott didn't pick Doug. Scott was told Doug was going to be the head coach of the team. And usually a GM picks his coach. But I like what I've seen. I think Woody, quite frankly, in many ways, is what Doug needs. More X's and O's. He's going to be a little harder on the guys. He's not going to be so lovey as Doug is. So you need that yin to the yang, but it's something to watch closely because if my thinking and the way that I was putting the pieces together based off of what I had heard, who I had talked to, in that world, you would think Scott Perry would start pushing for Mike Woodson to step into that seat if things were not going well. But as if you were with us 20 or 30 minutes ago, I said, I'm kind of changing my tune on Scott Perry. I don't quite think there's going to be that pressure. I actually really like what's going on right now. I do. And they've got a long ways to go, but there is a If you had to describe Scott Perry in one word, what would your word be? I know it's 3 words, but I was asked that after his introductory press conference, and it was used car salesman. And since the draft, in his press conference after the first round, poise is the word that comes to mind for me. Poised. I did this to my wife last night. My son had his back to school night for 5th grade, and we met his teacher. In fact, we made him introduce us to his teacher, and we were walking out, and I turned to my wife and I'm like, "Hey, if you had to describe the teacher, like your first impression in one word, what would it be?" And she's like, "Cool." I'm like, "Oh, come on. It's a cop out. You got to do a better word than that. Put some more thought into it." Mine was meticulous for him. Seemed nice, but meticulous. So what would your word be for Scott Perry? Mine is poised so far. In fact, let's play a little bit of audio from that Kings 5-minute video that they put out. I really liked kind of what I heard, what I saw. So here you go. This was what the Kings put out. A lot of it is an interview with Scott Perry, also inside the draft room and the pre-workout process.
With teams, agents, you also are having constant meetings with your front office and scouting staffs to talk about players, ranked players, how do they best fit our organization, and then you working out the prospects. You're interviewing players, you're bringing them out. When you bring them to Sacramento, you're having dinner with them, you're learning about them as people. And so then you're taking all of that information, you're trying to organize it and structure it in a way that come draft night, you can make the most effective, efficient decision of which player you're going to get. When you go see a prospect practice, work out, playing the game, I look for the interactions that he has with his teammates and his coaches. Those are what some people may deem as small things, but they're big things. Basketball is not an individual game, it's a team game. And also what I'm looking for with guys is, do they do the little things? The little things lead to winning and sacrifice, and they're willing to do things above and beyond themselves and for the betterment of the team. The more guys you can have on your team that embrace that, that play towards that, I think you have a better chance of having success.
Good. Execute on 3. Execute on 3. 1, 2, 3. Execute on 3. 1, 2, 3.
I really like that. I really. Does anybody not like what Scott said there? And sure, some of it is kind of straightforward, but then there's some extra insight, I think. Like the whole thing about looking at the little things, the interactions with your teammates. There's a video online right now. If you go to the X, and you can see Max, who's warming up before last game, and he's tossing the ball back and forth to some of the coaches and King staff on the bench, and they're tossing it back to him, and then he hits his 3. Like I get it. I get how the little things can sometimes be the big things, especially if you're in a situation now like you are in Sacramento, where this is gonna kind of, at best, this is gonna be a clean slate once you're able to get off Zach LaVine. If I'm Scott Perry, I'm looking, and I think he has been very fair about setting expectations low for this season. I think that's fair. He's not wishing you the world. He's telling you it's going to be a process. So if I'm Scott Perry, what I'm looking at is beyond the 2 years that you still have left. Is it 2 or 3 years with Zach LaVine? I think it's 2 and an option. So I'm okay with that. Now, in between that, you've got decisions to make. Certainly Keon and Keegan. Scott said he wants it to be a defensive team. You have a defensive head coach in Doug. But right now, when Jake LaRavia walked out the door, you can't have a defensive team anymore. You only have a couple of guys that can switch and play multiple positions. And one of them's Devin Carter. And I'm talking multiple positions on defense. One of them's Devin Carter. And unless something changes between tomorrow's game and training camp with his ability to run the point and his handle and playing the point efficiently and seeing the floor, there's not going to be minutes for Devin. There's not. So what I'm saying is, Scott, you might ultimately want this to be a defensive team. This is an offensive team on paper. So your nod is going to go to the offense. Now, if you want it to be a defensive team eventually, you got to keep Keegan Murray. You lose Keegan Murray, then the LaRavia loss hurt because he was kind of that perfect utility guy for Doug. You never knew what you were going to get from him on offense, but you knew that he caused some chaos. Look what he did with Jokic in Denver. Jokic was confused for about 8 minutes. But losing him, it hurts this team this season because now you're forced to focus on the offensive side of the ball, and you got to get creative defensively. You have to. Which probably is going to involve a decent amount of zone defense, which would be good for Max if he's going to be playing minutes. That will definitely help. But losing Keegan Murray, if your ultimate goal is to have a defensive identity, that's about 10 times the loss of LaRavia if he leaves Sacktown. If Keegan Murray's in a different city that is a contender, that's a top 6 team in their conference, Keegan Murray is getting votes for the all-defensive team. He may well be on one of the all-defensive teams. So, when's Clifford? Who's Clifford going to be starting for by January? Nobody. I don't think. You've got to start Dennis Schroeder, but that doesn't mean that Clifford might not be playing more minutes than Dennis Schroeder. Hard to say. If there's an injury, maybe he's starting sooner. You don't know. Dennis doubled down on my statement, said 100 times. Paul, what's up, man? Happy Friday. Rhino, how do you say you want defense, then lose LaRavia in JV? I think it's just what I outlined, Paul. I don't think it's the first thing Scott saying, you got to get, it's going to take a little bit of time. Be patient. We've got these 6 principles. This is what we want to do. This is what we envision. But today, Paul, with what you sit with on the roster and what you have to work with financially, and then also the dumpster fire of an owner and the stink that comes from the Golden One Center and the Sawyer Hotel that usually only agents and players can smell or see, you're kind of behind the 8 ball. Losing JV, that was confusing. I agree with you there. 100%. LaRavia, yes, I agree. It hurts. But I think what Scott ultimately saw, and I think he's betting heavily on these 2 rookies, number 1. But number 2, what he ultimately saw is even with LaRavia, even with JV, you can't be a defensive team. Because the guys that are your go-tos, your highest paid players, your most skilled offensively, they're terrible at defense. And those guys are going to be getting the majority of the minutes. So you would probably see very close, Paul, to what you saw last year, where the Kings would start very slowly. They would have bad first quarters. The subs would start to come in at about the 3-minute mark, 2-minute mark is where you probably got 3 guys off the bench at that point on the floor. And then the Kings make a run. They start pressuring more. They turn defense into offense, and they bring the game back into their favor. And then the starters start getting mixed back in. And what happens? Usually the team makes a run at the end of the second quarter. It would have been a lot of the same, Paul, I think. So while it doesn't make sense if you want to be a defensive team today, I don't think Scott Perry's looking at today. I think he's looking more long term. But the JV thing, I do wonder if there was a better way to dump salary. I mean, certainly you would have to think they are crunching numbers because LaRavia only got paid $800,000 more per season in Los Angeles. What did you save off the JV deal? I mean, JV was on a very, very team-friendly deal. It was, let's get to the numbers really quick. Look at that. He was only making 9.9 last season. He was set to make 10 this season. What's Saric's number? It's like right around 5.6. I want to think off the top of my head. Peter, can you hit that in the chat for me? So the Kings are certainly crunching the numbers if you're willing to let JV go on a salary dump, which, by the way, salary dumps since last offseason have costed a second-round pick. This one didn't cost the Kings a second-round pick. So if you want to put that into your considerations on why Scott made that move, you can add that as well. But, not a lot of money being saved between the two places. But you also are probably looking at maximum flexibility with what you have to work with if you wanted to go get somebody that is maybe at the higher end of what you're looking at. So I guess what I'm saying is I think Scott Perry has done in that front office has done a pretty good amount of due diligence. I have to give him an A for the draft. And that's before we saw Max or Neek step onto a summer league court. I had to give him an A there because he turned 2 second round. It's a first round pick right now, but it likely would have become 2 second round picks because San Antonio's on pace to be on the playoffs here in a couple of years. Scott was able to turn that into a first round this year, a year where you needed somebody else in your rotation. And in my opinion, he drafted both guys with the same thing in mind. And if you go by, again, the six principles that Scott Perry's preaching, if you go by we want volunteers, we don't want hostages, those guys seem to fit the build. Both had played out their eligibility for the most part in college, and you see that in summer league coming through. Doesn't mean that Max is NBA ready muscle-wise, but it does mean that floor vision, decision-making, composure seems to be much more advanced than some of the other guys. So I have to give him an A for the draft, and I don't know what to grade the Dennis Schroeder move. Perry might be right on it with Dennis Schroeder. Maybe it's exactly what Sacramento needs. We know Sacramento needed a true point guard. Dennis Schroeder is a true point guard. On the surface, it feels like a little bit of a reach pay-wise, but maybe he's going to be spot on, and it changes everything. It rebalances things for guys like Zach LaVine. It keeps the ball moving a little bit more, even though DeMar is going into ISO. It'll be interesting to see. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to knock the Schroeder move, and I'm not going to give him praise for it yet, but his record so far is pretty damn good as far as I can tell. Let's see. Paul, Devin's contract is friendly, but point guard skills were not so friendly. Yeah, Devin is going to be a really good player in the NBA. for a while. It's probably just not going to be here in Sacramento. It kind of stinks for Devin in a sense, because he was drafted by a different front office that was drafting him for exactly what you see: defense, rebounding. As Jerry Reynolds comes on every Tuesday and says, being a shitbird, right? That's exactly what they wanted in him, whether you agreed with the pick or not. And you could almost say that's exactly what they wanted in Davion Mitchell as well, right? So now you got Scott Perry, different front office, different situation. You get looked at different. This is what we need you to do. And you know what? I know Devin has put a lot of time into that, but Jerry said it. I asked Jerry because I played point guard all my life and I am nowhere near a high level college or NBA player, but I do know from playing with other point guards, being around NBA point guards, it really is something that you're born with and isn't taught. Now, certain skills within that position can be taught, but the floor vision, the sense of timing, Grant pointed out, or I think it was Jerry that pointed this out, which is exactly right. You need to know what everybody else is doing on the floor, what their jobs are. You're not just thinking about the play that you're running, you're thinking about the second option on that play. It's just natural, and it's not there with Devin, and it's not his fault. And I know his dad was a very good point guard in the league. Guess what? That's not something that always passed down. Where's Michael Jordan's son right now? Let's listen to a little bit more of Scott Perry.
He was someone that we to the first round. He was someone that we really liked a lot. We feel like he's gonna fit the identity of what we're trying to establish here, so we're extremely happy. Okay.
Sacramento Kings select Maxime Reynaud from Paris, France, and Stanford University.
This is a group effort. I thank you all for that. That was big. And sometimes it pays to be patient, you know. Sit there, you know what I mean? The draft is obviously a time to find the best fit and the best talent for your organization, because the more talent you can add to your roster, the better chance you have of building a successful team. It's great to see everybody here again this morning, and so excited for all of you to be here to welcome the newest members of the Sacramento Kings family, Mr. Lee Clifford and Mr. Max Reynaud.
You love to see these young guys come in with a level of maturity. They're here to improve as an individual to help the teams.
Clifford,
We're here to establish an identity of what it means to be a Sacramento King. That entails 6 things: competitive, tough, team-oriented, professional, accountable, disciplined. These 2 young men have exhibited that not only in their play throughout their careers in college basketball, but in how they've conducted themselves as young men off of it.
Reynaud, why not? Red hot, 4 for 4 from the field.
We're looking for those values in players with obviously a certain skill set. We're looking for people that are going to enhance this identity, who embrace it and want to represent what Kings basketball is all about moving forward.
Really well done by the Kings. Really well done piece. And a good time to do the piece because both rookies are playing really well. Do DeRozan and Levine both finish next season on the Kings? I find that hard to believe. I do not think DeMar DeRozan will finish the season with the Kings. I don't. Do I think he'll be on the opening night roster? I started at 60% yes about 2 weeks ago. I'm closer to about 85% yes. He will be on the roster opening night. I don't see any way that Levine will be traded. I mean, even if you were going to buy Zach LaVine out, there's cap implications with that as well. I think it's DeRozan. What will happen? Probably Mars, unless something does transpire with the Warriors and Kuminga. Usually, when things linger this long, it doesn't typically pan out, but maybe it will. This time, it's different front office. With Monty's front office, by the time something was out for a week, it wasn't usually happening. But injuries will happen, guys will go down, teams will underachieve, and they will reach at the trade deadline. Or you will have a team overachieve and feel like, you know what, we're going for it. We think if we had DeRozan in that second unit, if we have DeRozan the way he plays comes playoff time on the offensive end of the court, we're really going to be able to go over the top. I think those are the likelier scenarios where DeMar DeRozan goes. That's what I would say. Aaron, are your burgers good, dude? Like, what kind of burgers do you have? What is your signature burger, Aaron? Where's your burger stand or restaurant located, Aaron? Do you want to sponsor the King's Court, Aaron? I'm curious. Aaron, do you serve burgers medium rare? Some places won't do that. I need answers from you, Aaron, before I keep reading any more of your comments. If you want a good burger, you want a great steak, where you need to go is Bennett's West Side Grill, the newest of the three, out in Rockland. But Bennett's Restaurant's prime cuts of seafood and steak. Look at that. That's the steak frites right there. One of the best, one of my favorite cuts of steak, the hanger steak. Prime rib, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. You also have weekend brunch on the weekends at all three locations, 11 to 2 p.m. By the way, they've got a great special at brunch. You get 2 entrees and a bottle of champagne for like under $50. Can't go wrong there. And also the great menu besides that is very, the New York Prime. Come on. A menu that is extremely fairly priced for what you get, does not break the bank, and only the freshest, best ingredients. You get to pick your steak out if you get the New York Prime. Also, from time to time, Brian will get inspired based off of what ingredients are looking the best to him and roll out special menus. He has done that just a little bit ago. He rolled out the Taste of Summer menu. So check this out. All three locations, Howe in Fair Oaks, Roseville, and Rockland. You can get 2 courses for $30. It is their Taste of Summer. You can add a dessert on for $5 as well. 3 courses, $35. Look at the different options. All incredible. The Sonoran short rib enchiladas to die for. So go to right here, Bennett'sRestaurants.com. Check them out. You can make reservations on the website. You can also put your food in to go if you want to do it that way. I know that's getting popular these days. There it is, $49. Brunch for 2. You know your other half, your spouses, like a mimosa or 2. Where are you going to get 2 entrees and a bottle of champagne for $50 these days? Not very many places. So anyways, happy hour, 2 to 6 o'clock every day of the week. So much more. Go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com right there. Check them out. Tell them that you heard about them here on the show. Also, let us know, like BG, Chris, who went in for his 17th wedding anniversary. We'd love hearing that. We give it back to Brian. And I've heard a few of you have chatted Brian and Margot up, and suddenly your checks kind of get a little cheaper. That's weird. Brian's a good dude. So we love Bennett. We know that you guys love him too. So thanks for supporting him. Thank you to Bennett for sponsoring today's edition of the King's Court. We've got wrestling coming up here in about 15 minutes. I know a lot of you are asking about that. We've also got the Kings and so we get this back up. We get going again. We've got the Kings and the Raptors coming at you tomorrow. Here's what the Raptors did last night, if you want to check out what they are about. A couple of things. We're not going to get to the NFL today. That will carry over to next week, and that story is still developing between the NFLPA president, guy in charge of the Players Association, misusing funds at strip clubs. And that's just the start of the story. Turns out, and Pablo Torre, who really has been the one that's cracked this story, has also started to peel back a very clear and big conflict of interest. Very clear and big conflict of interest, where the Players Association president also was vested in a company that bought micro shares of teams. So he's on the owner's side of things. And also on the player side, sounds a little weird. So that one's still developing. We will talk WNBA here in a few minutes, but the Kings and the Raptors tomorrow at 1:00. The Kings get a chance to move in to the championship game in Vegas. The Raptors undefeated as well. Kings barely got by because I put the jinx on them. Charlotte, man. Was anybody else looking at that? And I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me. It was the last thing that could happen. If you're the Kings, like that's like an NCAA tournaments where somebody wins the conference tournament that's not supposed to win the conference tournament. And now all of a sudden it's closed a spot up for somebody on the bubble. Last night, it felt like the Kings were on the bubble, but it ended up working out. So the Kings will match up with the Raptors. Jacoby Walter, their go-to guy. A good defensive team. Important thing here. The Raptors, through 4 games, have been minus 21 in the first quarter. So the Kings need to get out to a hot start. The Kings need to jump on them right out of the gate, and that's something the Kings have done 3 of their 4 summer league games. I don't think you're going to see a Kings team that gives up 23 offensive rebounds again tomorrow and turns the ball over 15 times. Coach Dip has said they want 15 turnovers or less. They've done a very good job at pressuring. And here's the other good thing to point out about the Kings. Last game, again, ugly game for them. They shot the 3 ball at 28.6%. That was by far their worst performance from beyond the arc. So all those things considered, they still ended up winning. They won, I believe, by a margin of 8. So it'll be a fun one to watch. Yeah, 94-86. That's what the Raptors did last night. If you want to check that out, or we had it on the screen a second ago. I want to talk WNBA. Just really quick, I promise I'm not going to pound you over the head with WNBA, but I do want to point this out because this is a story that is starting to get some legs and snowball. And, you know, there's been more attention on the WNBA since Caitlin Clark, since Angel Reese, since some of these players, since NIL, to be honest with you, players that were Sabrina Ionescu, another one that was extremely close with Kobe. You can go down the list, and you can also name the trailblazers of the WNBA. Lisa Leslie. I could go on for days with some of them. Rebecca Lobo, Sue Bird. Anyways, getting back to the point, more interest has been put into the WNBA. And whether these are real on-court feuds or off-court feuds, what you've had is certain players develop a fan base in college, which has flowed over to the parent, the next level, the Women's National Basketball Association. Right now, the average salary in the WNBA is $147,000, $147,745. The minimum salary for a first year to second year player is $66,079. The minimum salary for a player that's played 3 or more years, $78,831. So the CBA, the players union, had an option to opt out of the NBA or the WNBA CBA early. And so they have elected to opt out. They have let that be known to the WNBA. Some of the things that they have highlighted is they want higher pay, they want revenue sharing, which is understandable. I'm not drawing a line saying the men's game is more important than the women's game. I'm not drawing a line that's saying men or the women should be paid the same as the men. It's wrong that they're paid less. That's not the line that I'm drawing. The line that I'm drawing is this is a league that has never been profitable. They just signed a new TV rights deal last year, and they had more eyes on that product than ever. And quite frankly, the WNBA did a piss poor job of capitalizing on the eyes on that product. Some would say there's been stuff that has been or kind of been along the lines of racial, which is a hot button, hotter than it's ever been. So that can turn people off. But I'm fine with the women saying we want higher salaries, we want revenue sharing, but you can't. Here's my problem with the women. You can't point to the men's game. You can't use the men's game as a comp. You can't. What you have to use as a comp is the percentage of what the men on the minimum, the average salaries are making versus the ratio, the percentage of what they make versus the revenue that is paid out and brought in to the league. What is that percentage? That's where you start. You can't say they're making $278 million on 5-year contracts because the NBA is profitable. They have money coming out of their ears. The WNBA was David Stern's baby. Everybody knows Jim Rome, somebody that's been very influential with me getting into this and having a show and working with Grant. Him and his team have been incredible to me. Jim Rome, when David Stern was still alive, would always ask the hard questions. Like, David, why is the WNBA still going? You're not making any money. Nobody's watching. And he would always hit it every single time David Stern would come on, up until the point David Stern snapped back in a way that was almost like, wait, that wasn't David Stern. He didn't just say that to Rome. And they went at it for a good minute and a half, and Rome fired back at him. But it was a fair question. The question was, when are you just going to take this thing behind the barn and take it out? That was 10, 15 years ago. We're now in 2025, getting ready to negotiate the 2026 CBA, or the 2027 CBA, excuse me. The women are with the league and the Players Association and the Coaches Association. And so I don't know where the WNBA goes, and I don't know what leverage the women are going to use. You can ask for higher salaries, but it's just going to put the league in more debt. How's the game going to grow? How are you going to get more franchises? Why would you start a franchise in your city? Why would you want expansion if it's just going to be a business that you're paying to run instead of making money on? But revenue sharing, you could put it in there. Hey, awesome. Yeah, if we're profitable, you can have this percent of the revenue. But what I'm getting at is it's both the players and it's both the WNBA that need to be motivated to get to the point where there's revenue sharing? How can you cause a big stink about it when there is no revenue coming in? When the books are negative at the end of every season, just like last season, which probably had its most eyeballs ever on the product. Some could probably argue that Caitlin Clark, some of your higher tier stars, could be making more money in college with NIL. I bet some of your middle of the line players in the NBA, your average salary players, if you're a rookie, $66,000, $79. If you're in the WNBA, that means you're probably one of the two best players. No, take that back. You are the best player on your roster at your school. If you're at a big school, you're going to have a bigger NIL deal than $66,000, especially now that institutions can directly pay athletes. So the WNBA has a big problem to figure out, but these players, they need to be part of the solution. They don't need to push the problem on the WNBA. I hope with these CBA discussions, I hope that that's the result. I hope the WNBA shoves the books right in front of the women. And I know that it's not their fault that it hasn't been profitable for the last, I believe, 25 years of existence. But they can certainly do everything they can, whether it's keeping positive press in the press, whether it's doing more to improve the game. And quite frankly, I'll be honest with you, I like watching the WNBA. It's below the rim, sure. You know, a couple of women who can dunk, but the skill is a little bit higher. The teamwork is more. It's more fundamental than the men's game. So how do you capitalize on this? Both parties, especially the WNBA, difficult spot to be in. Really difficult spot. Who holds the leverage? I can tell you the last thing that the WNBA needs is a strike. Think about baseball. Probably baseball fans, the most loyal of the loyal. I'm talking about like your hardcore baseball fans that watch 162 games a year. They turn their backs on the game after lockouts. The NBA had issues after lockouts. The NFL, the NFL is just the NFL. It's a different animal. So these two sides need to do everything they can to avoid that. That ultimately could end the WNBA, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens, but you can't. Again, I just go back to the players, and I know it's not fair to make an argument. You can't use the women should be paid the same salaries as the men. Women should make exactly as much as their counterparts. You can't make that argument here because the books are completely different. If the books were the same, make that argument every single day of the week. No brainer. It's not even an argument to be made. You're breaking law. You're breaking morals, ethics, if you're not doing that. It's going to be interesting to see. We will see what happens with the WNBA wrestling segment coming up here in just 2-3 minutes. Let me know what you think about that. Do you disagree? Also, you got the All-Star game going on. I think you have the festivities starting either tonight or tomorrow night for the WNBA. The skills competition, I will never understand. I just don't get it. Like, If you're a basketball player and you're in the NBA or the WNBA, I know you can dribble. I know you can shoot. I know you can pass. Show me the stuff that I get to see when I go to practices. And it's like, whoa, holy bleep. He just threw the ball from behind his back from 3/4 court and made the shot. Oh, he just did it twice in 5 times. Show me that kind of stuff. For both leagues, it's the stupidest thing, the skills competition. So dumb. Appreciate it, Rock. Anyways, all right, let's get to a few comments, and then we are going to get to Adam. I know many of you have been waiting for him. Will we ever witness Vince Carter player type in the WNBA? Probably, Aaron. Probably. Yeah. I mean, you can't say like she'll be doing exactly what Vince did, but yeah, I think you'll probably get there. I mean, look at athletes, bigger, stronger, faster every single year. The one thing that's going to hurt athletes, and I think we're starting to see it, and it's a generational thing. My generation, you played multiple sports. I went from football to basketball to track and field when I was in high school. And before high school and like elementary school, same thing, playing multiple sports all the time. I think probably the best thing my parents ever did for me was put me in gymnastics at a really young age. I didn't know why I was there, didn't get it, but there's a lot of movements I probably learned there. Now, this generation of athletes, if you're good at one thing, it's all you're doing. You're putting more strain on certain muscles, which is why you're seeing more, in my opinion, of these soft tissue tendon injuries, more Tommy John surgeries. So if you're a pitcher at 6 years old, all you're doing is pitching. That's it. And you're doing it 365 days a year with AAU and traveling teams. So, but yes, as long as you have an all-around athlete that keeps playing multiple sports, yes, you will see that. Caitlin going woke was a mistake. The WNBA needs to avoid politics. They are gaining notoriety on their play. Look, when you have this happen, somebody that holds as much respect as he does in the basketball world and even the sports world and the business world come out and do this.
Oh, speaking of man, RG3, tweet another monkey post about my girl Angel Reese. I'm punching your face, okay? It's enough. Like, I don't usually do stuff like this, but just stop it, bro. You got your job, you got your podcast, leave my Angel Reese alone. I'm the one calling her and telling her not to respond. Stop it. That's the last time, okay? Thank you. It's not real hate. If you look around what's going on in this real country, that's hate. This is sports. I'm not supposed to like you. It's a shame that all the stuff you did in your life, you're going to be remembered for your podcast. You're going to be remembered for your podcast. That should tell you you're not that great. I don't want to be remembered for Shaq's Bit podcast. I do not. Like, leave those girls alone. You already spoke on it. Let it go. So what? He hates her. So what? I hate you now. For messing with her. Now what? Say something about me. But she's not going to respond because I'm the one calling her and be like, baby, keep it classy. Because she's not soft by any means. You're from the streets. But I'm like, you're beautiful. Don't indulge with these fools because he's a fool. You don't even have G14 classification to say that. I would respect it more if Lisa Leslie said it. Like, that's your category. Stay out of them people's category. Okay, you're sports, whatever you do, you talk about sports, but bro, you don't need to be going deep. Y'all can go deep. Y'all are females. Y'all understand what that's like. If he hates her, so what? Mind your business. Like, I don't mind you doing your job with anyone, but don't pick on that little girl. Because guess what? I'm her protector. Now pick on me. You pick on me, I'm punching your face.
Good question, Juggernaut. The first thing that comes to mind for me is you need to do more with less. Just because you have the NBA attached to your name does not mean you should be doing all the same things that the NBA does. I think that's the first thing. Like a Commissioner's Cup, that's too much for the WNBA. I think you have to simplify And I think a lot of what's gone on over the couple of years, although it's brought more eyeballs, like Indiana, I don't know if you heard this, but Indiana, it's more expensive to get a ticket to their games, to the WNBA games, than it is the Pacers. That's how popular it is in that city. And partially that is Caitlin Clark. Sure. But that they were just in the NBA Finals, 7 games, and it's more expensive to get a ticket for the women. You've got to get the bad press. Whatever in this case with the WNBA, you went from a time with David Stern when he was really this was his baby. This will always go down as David Stern's baby. But it went from a time where there wasn't any press at all around the game for the most part. I mean, how many people went to a Monarchs game? I know people showed up during the playoffs, but were you regulars at Monarchs games? David Stern had a problem getting press for the game, and now the WNBA, in my opinion, is looking at any press is good press, but with what's going on, you just heard what Shaq said, calling her a monkey, RG3, to Angel Reese. In the WNBA's case, any press is good press is not true. So less with more is what I'm thinking. So anyways, I'll keep going through your thoughts as we go through the rest of the show. And if I don't get to some of your questions and comments, I'll read them after the show and respond in the chat. But it's Friday. You know what that means. We are coming off of a massive week of wrestling, not only from a content standpoint, but from a news standpoint. There have been some big things and changes, many of them unexpected, that have happened. You had last week, oh my gosh, you had All In, which is AEW's biggest pay-per-view, 7-hour show. You had 3 WWE events, 2 that were PLEs. We've had a Raw. We have had now an AEW show since then. So we bring in the man, Adam. And by the way, Mr. Oos is actually an Oos. If you don't know what I mean, Jay Uso coined him an Oos. So, and by the way, he was an insider. He spent the week with AEW last week. So let's bring him into the conversation. We will talk some wrestling. I will drop some wrestling drops on him. Let's go. Wrestling Fridays. Adam Oos, I have a question for you.
What do you guys want to talk about?
Acknowledge me.
You want to acknowledge? It's the last thing I would have thought that you wanted, but all right, here you go, buddy.
You there, sitting at home. Acknowledge me. The whole world.
You know what? I didn't even mention Roman's return. Holy crap.
Know. Yeah, it kind of flew under the radar. There's been so much in the past week that we've been seeing or had to ingest.
Yes.
It was a long week, brother.
It was. J-Cal, what's up, man? You just showed up during wrestling. I hope you like wrestling. We just did like an hour and a half. The Kings.
He loves it.
Good to see you, J-Cal. Come back. It's been a minute. Yeah, there has been a lot that's happened this week. The Goldberg stuff we could get into. We could talk about All In. We could talk about Seth Rollins and how this is going to be rebooked. I'm going to let you start where you want to start because this is your segment. So where you want to go?
Well, I want to start with All In. I know we chatted a little bit on Friday about it, but man, I just had such a great week. I went to Dynamite. I went to Collision. I went to All In, all 3 events last week. It was borderline exhausting when you have a job. Some of you might not relate to that. Right now, what's going on? I don't know, but I got something in me. But all in, man, I had such a blast. At all three of the shows. Thursday night at Collision, I was like on the rail, and that was a lot of fun. But had a lot of fun at All In. It was a 7-hour show, but honestly, if you were there, it didn't feel like it. You kind of picked your spots to go walk around the concourse and all that stuff. Globe Life Stadium is a great stadium. It's not great for concerts if you're going there to see that, but it is a fun place to be, and what a show that they put on. I really think they turned on the heat. At some point after that Adam Cole announcement, and wish him nothing but the best.
Yeah.
That was sad. Like, I brought some people that aren't too familiar with wrestling, and they thought it was all a work. And I was like, hey, like, he's actually maybe gonna retire after this.
Yeah. Okay. And you were there live for that. I'm never going to judge somebody for being emotionally vulnerable, but I can tell you, I was a lot more worried about something worse than a concussion being the reason.
Like what?
Like cancer, like something like that. Because Adam, he was pulled out of the event like 24 hours before, and
I think it was less than that.
And it was like, well, if you got a concussion, when did it happen? It just seemed weird.
He had a match on Thursday night, and he seemed fine. He fulfilled his obligation on Thursday night, and then I saw some clips that there was a hit by Kyle Fletcher that he tried to hit him with like an arm bar, and it maybe came across his face. Don't clip that. But it hit him sort of like across the jaw, chest, which is kind of the normal spot to do. So, and then there was another one, I think a week or so prior to that, where I think it was Kyle Fletcher again, where he kind of power bombed him and the back of his head hit the edge of the ring mat. So maybe it's a combination of issues, those concussion things, they don't get better over time, especially when you have multiple head traumas after having one. So who knows?
Yeah. He was out like, I believe 8 to 9 months with his last concussion. Let's change the subject after your little
please.
Anyways, okay, let's turn the page to WWE, 'cause that's what most people watch. Saturday night's main event. By the way, dude, I have a grievance. I have a massive grievance.
Hit us
with the WWE right now. I know it's not that important, but I have a massive grievance, and that is, I saw something I really liked. I don't usually indulge. They don't tell you that stuff's on back order until you actually order it.
Okay, and I've been waiting on my Grande Americano shirt for about 3 months now.
Yeah, August 5th projected date.
Yeah. Cool. You know what I noticed? Like, when I ordered that Chelsea Green Mick Foley shirt, or Cactus Jack shirt,
yeah,
it took months for it to arrive. Don't put the gear on the wrestler if we can't buy it and have it shipped immediately. What are we doing?
It's like they don't know the taste of the fan base, because when the R-Truth shirt came out, they should have known that shirt was going to be like, order as many as they can make and you're going to sell them. And they didn't.
I mean, let's take that and use that same lens with the booking that they're doing currently.
Okay.
Because I've also got some grievances.
You do?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Sorry, I was probably pretty loud there.
I will allow you to air your grievances.
I got a lot of problems with you people.
Order in the court.
You're going to hear about it.
All right.
You know, this was not listed as one of my grievances, but let me start here. We'll talk about the Adam Cole injury, and then we'll parlay it into the Seth Rollins injury. You have this budding rivalry with LA Knight and Seth Rollins, and I think that you could have propelled LA Knight into the main card picture with that rivalry. Seth gets hurt. He's got the money in the bank. LA Knight has to win by default. And shout out to Seth, because if you watch that sequence, you see Seth talking to Paul, and he's like, yeah, I'm messed up. Let LA Knight beat me. I'll take the pin. He wasn't originally supposed to take the pin there, apparently.
Right.
And I'm okay with that. But now, what do you do with LA Knight? I don't know what the outcome of that was, but if Seth Rollins was going to beat LA Knight, you just keep burying this dude in the main card picture. And we had the gauntlet match on Monday night. It started off Braun versus Penta, and we talked about this on Monday a little bit.
Yeah.
But as soon as I heard LA Knight's music hit at, entrant number 3, I was like, nah, he's cooked. He's gone. And then we both called this, that CM Punk would win that match. And he was last to go. So you have Braun go gladiator style until it came to CM Punk, which I think we both kind of assumed that would happen. But it's just like, damn, hit me with the damn. Do you still have the damn button?
I don't know where it's at. I don't know where it's at. I might be able to get you like pick a side or something like that.
Whatever, but
okay, let me give you this. I think they're doing I do have an issue with some of the booking, but I think it's because in certain areas it's up in the air. If you look at what they're doing with Sami Zayn and you look at what they're doing with LA Knight, it's very similar. They're both getting buried. Now, it's more intentional with Sami Zayn. It seems like the tip of the cap is we are going to beat him down and build him up to a Rumble win in Saudi Arabia, right? But there's always got to be a second plan. And I think there's other people on the side of the table that are saying we need to do that with LA Knight. And what did we say when we talked on Monday? We said, we'll know tonight if they have the confidence in LA Knight. They do not. So I think that spot, that Jey Uso spot, that who had it before Jay? Cody Rhodes. Well, Cody's different. Okay. Take him away. But like, you know how like Daniel Bryanson or whatever, Daniel Bryanson. They've got me going back and forth. Bryan Daniel Bryan.
Keep track of.
How he worked his way and they built him up and he was the one that gets the big WrestleMania moment. Happened with Kofi Kingston. This last year it was Jey Uso. I think it's LA Knight or it is Sami Zayn, and they are still going back and forth on that.
Hey, great point. I would lean towards Sammy because they seem to involve him more with the big storylines than they do LA Knight. And while Sammy is over, I think that there's so much forgiveness with Sammy that they can play with. Not to say that they don't have that with LA Knight, but man, like the dude comes out and he still gets pops 2-something years later from probably the peak LA Knight pop. He's still so over with the fans, and we get nothing. We get a 2-month title reign as US champ before he gets taken out by Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah, but it was for him to win it back.
And then lose it immediately to Jacob Fatu.
Yeah, okay. That's a fair point. That's a fair point. Okay, so why Punk Gunther? They're going towards. It's probably the biggest draw money wise for sure. And the mic work will be much better, even though LA is pretty damn good too. New or old El Grande? Definitely old for me, Adam. But the No Mames that Ludwig threw out there was.
Oh, I must have missed that. I didn't
Yeah.
catch that.
He's in the corner and he goes, "No mames."
What a great line. If you don't speak Spanish,
That's not a good line to say if you speak Spanish.
great line.
So-
Yeah, I am excited about the Gunther versus Punk for the mic work. Gunther is super strong on the mic. Obviously, so is CM Punk, but I think if you're going to expose Punk, Gunther would be a good guy to do it. I've heard rumors that what if Gunther doesn't say anything at all? Because we saw him, I believe it was on Monday, where Punk was just spouting off at the mouth and Gunther kind of like just looks at him, laughs, drop the mic, and roll out. And he's like, "Nah, I'm not falling into your trap." And does that play into what Gunther learned from his last rivalry?
They're gonna have to do something to make it interesting. You've got a really short build. SummerSlam is next weekend or 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks.
2 weeks from now. You've got a short build, so you can't do anything long. BG says Seth is literally hurt and his knee buckled. Yeah, you know what? You make a good point. There's reports on both sides that say it's legit and they say that it's a work. When I watched it happen, I didn't see it on the second part with the backflip. I saw it on the first part when he kind of slid in and it looked like his knee went out the wrong way, but his knee did not buckle much. But again, it might not take much when you've got a reconstructed ACL.
Yeah, I didn't catch that first part that you were talking about. But watching him do that backflip, he instantly reacted, and you don't instantly react like that if you're acting. That's a real injury. He is going to be out, in his words, for a significant amount of time, and we don't know what that timeline is, but that's a real injury. He's out, and I think it sucks. They keep pushing the narrative with Paul Heyman that, hey, he has a year to cash this in so that he could come back. We did have a quick cash in with Naomi, but do we want to have a vacant Money in the Bank briefcase holder?
I mean, to some degree, it doesn't matter if it's vacant or not because sometimes they hold on to it. And for me, I would prefer to see less of these like, "Oh, I'm going to cash in," and then you don't cash in. So really quick, here you go. And I think what's interesting about the Seth thing is reputable, like wrestling reporters are saying, we're hearing it this way, we're hearing it that way. And then we've also heard that possibly Seth was booked to cash in after the Goldberg match, which meant, did the Goldberg match change? But here is the injury. Let me get it up for you. So the flip that I am talking about is this first one. Watch how his knee kind of drives out and into the mat.
I'm not going to make any money off of this spot tonight. Because
see that? Check this out. It kind of went weird. Here, I'll play it one more time. But to your point about the reaction, I mean, you can't fake something like. I mean, he did like an amazing fake. See how his knee went in?
Yeah.
It just folded weird. So maybe it tweaked and then he landed on it, and that was a wrap. But
all you need to see is at the end of the match after LA Knight pins him, you see him just drop the F-bomb in disappointment. I think that tells you everything that you need to know.
yeah, I think they're already teasing it, Justin. I think that they were teasing it before that happened. Looking for that sack hat on eBay. Don't see it. You're looking for it, Rock, huh? It's because I don't know that it was for sale. Got it inside the building.
Oh, you got it from Get a Clue at K Street Mall.
No.
All right.
Let me hold on really quick, transition to something. So WWE is coming out with a Netflix series that is completely behind the scenes of everything. Like, you're in the creative meetings. It's not up to date. It's going to be everything, I think, from Royal Rumble to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But it's at least going to give us an idea, you would think, about how they think about some of these guys. Yes or no?
I honestly want nothing to do with that show. I don't want to watch it. I got to go backstage at AEW for Collision. And I'm back there and I'm talking to my friend that works there. And I go, I almost don't want to be back here because I don't want to see how the sausage is made. Not that I saw anything too crazy or whatever, but when John Moxley walks right past you and Tony Schiavone and all that stuff, and you see everyone getting their makeup and all that gear, I don't know. It's too much for me. I can't say that I won't watch it, but for right now, I don't want to watch it.
Really? You're not going to watch it?
I probably will.
Yeah.
But I just hope that they do it in a way.
Okay, hold on. If you're reading the rumors, I mean, come on. How much different is it going to be? Half the time the rumors are exactly what's coming out of that room, and you're reading about it before you're watching.
I don't read the rumors.
You don't? Oh, you do your own investigation.
I don't read the dirt sheets and all that kind of crap. That ruins it for me. Because then I just start thinking about what if and this and that. And yeah, I do see some rumors here and there, but I don't like pursue that. I think part of what makes it fun for me is you never know. I get to form my own conclusions. So just like you don't listen to other Kings podcasts and things like that, you don't want it to ruin your take. I don't want to be a part of it. Do I listen to stuff? Yes, absolutely. Does it influence me? Probably in in some ways, but if I think like someone's onto something, then yeah, like they might be onto something, but I try to avoid that stuff. I don't like that. That ruins it for me.
All right, fair enough.
Not fun.
BG. Yes, I will. I will this time. I should have. I should have last time. I actually got a little. So Russ got back to me, and because I was in his city, or he was in my city, and I didn't come when we were in your city, gave me the cold shoulder on purpose.
Russ,
I thought we were closer than that. He worked me. So yes, I will be going BG. In fact, I was going to hit you up because Survivor Series is being held at Petco Park in San Diego.
San Diego, Wales.
Stop there. Thank you. Remember what network you are or what channel you are on. I need to have like a sound drop ready at any given time if you're going to say something.
At least I'm not calling everyone a moron.
Where'd you learn to talk like this?
Yeah, I know that was weird. But anyways, so BG, yes, I do think you will probably have a WWE show here in Sacktown before Survivor Series. So I would expect it to be. Oh, they're already coming back to Sacramento in October. Okay, there you go. Because they're going to be right around the corner. What they usually do is like Raw here, SmackDown Bakersfield or Fresno, and then down to San Diego.
How excited are you for Logan Paul and Drew?
Why are you laughing?
Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton and Jelly Roll.
I'm actually excited. I am. I just within the last month started listening to Jelly Roll. I've known who he is. I just never really. I've heard his maybe hits like 1 or 2 times. Really like his music. I like his story. Look at how much weight he's lost, man. He's a WWE. He's a hardcore WWE fan. Dude lost.
Oh, it's Travis Scott.
Okay, fair enough. But I don't think Jelly Roll's going to be smoking pot walking through the crowd.
You don't think so? He's got face tattoos.
He's sober. He sings about his sobriety, my man. So all I'm saying,
sober.
No, he is.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. Do your thing.
So anyways, what I was going to say is I'm excited because WWE said, if you can lose some weight, yeah, we'd love to try to partner up and do something. Look at how much weight he's lost.
Yeah, apparently WWE asked him to lose 100 pounds by within the next year, and he's lost 200 pounds.
Right. So I'm excited. I'm invested in it.
Good for him. I see this as another. I love Drew McIntyre. He might be my favorite.
That's what's coming in August. I was so pissed. Great shirt. Bored at work.
Yeah. Oh, great shirt. How good is Drew? The dude had probably the best 2024. In my opinion. I think he had a great year last year. He won the belt for about 5 minutes, but again, they just give this dude a freaking belt, give him some time. I love Gunther. That's my boy, but I think that's probably the more volatile belt that could be passed around a little bit. And yeah, it might be time for Goldberg to give up the belt. I think he probably does give it up to Punk at SummerSlam.
Goldberg?
Gunther. Sorry, did I say Goldberg?
You did. And we're going to end on Goldberg here in a second. Dude, BG, anytime, man. Hell, we can go to the event together if you're going to be going. Losing weight doesn't make you a wrestler. Okay, I don't disagree with you, but what I'm saying is I'm invested. Dude was invested, right? Like it's Travis Scott you can't compare the two situations. The only thing they have in common is they're not wrestlers and they're celebrities. Like, go ahead.
Something that I heard today is that Jelly Roll has a home in Orlando, has been at the Performance Center.
Yeah.
Working his ass off for the last however long.
You're not getting with Randy freaking Orton if you've not paid your dues with the right people and done the right things. And Randy's at a point where he wants to have fun. Like the Joe Hendry WrestleMania thing, incredible. Like Randy's doing some incredible work right now and putting himself in some good positions. I'm not looking forward to the Jelly Roll match. I agree with that. And look, Jelly Roll is not okay. Logan Paul and Bad Bunny were both exceptions to the rule. Bad Bunny is probably the biggest exception because I don't think anybody was expecting him to be able to wrestle the way he did. Right. And I know he had been training, but Logan Paul is just a natural at it pretty much athletically, anything he does. So like you can't expect those types of performances. It's going to be like Jelly getting beat down. He'll have a little comeback, tag Randy, and then somehow they'll do like something with the finish where Jelly Roll is not RKOing anybody.
But he did have a hell of a choke slam last year on was it Grayson Waller?
He did. So what was
this brings up a good point. Who do you think will be Cena's final match come September? And I actually have this in my notes, and we sort of talked about the TC1, as he's now coined, returning on last Monday.
The what? Did you say the TC1?
That don't make no sense.
Do you see his shirt?
Yeah, I did. Okay.
The OTC. He's the I don't know.
TC1. Okay.
Moving the target here, but
so you want my answer? Who it's gonna be?
Yeah.
Can you do that thing, that you're really good at that you used to do when you first started coming on the show? When you started talking about you know what? I'll set you up. I got Ludwig right here. You just have to finish it. Ludwig will start it.
Allow me to introduce you to the man who is the epitome of efficiency and elegance.
Oh,
I do your Gunther. Yes, I think it's going to be Gunther.
That would be so sick. Wow. Have not thought about that. Didn't consider him part.
Cena's going to want to work with him. He's the young guy that you're going to put 100%. Cena puts Gunther over. Gunther is that's your. I don't care if Gunther starts losing the title, winning the title, losing the title, winning the title before that, wrestling Pat McAfee 3 more times. 1, 2, 3 over Cena, you're on a different level, like completely different level for the rest of your career in Cena's match.
Ooh, I would love that for him. That would be cool. You kind of messed me up with that because I wasn't really looking that direction because they've done nothing with Gunther at any point other than let him hold the belt and he just beats people to shame. Ooh, that could be fun. I like that. I didn't think of that because he's not really in that title picture, right? Do you see a scenario where
okay. You're making the assumption that the title is going to be part of the match.
Yeah. What if we do the double turn at WrestleMania? Cody's a bad guy. Cena's a good guy. But then I was saying, like, can Roman take the belt off of Cody after SummerSlam? And then maybe you have because I was talking about, I'm thinking in my mind, how do we get Roman versus Cena? Could Cena win the belt back off of Roman and then Gunther beats Cena Cena on his last match and puts him over? That's a lot. That's a lot.
Way too much. Yeah. I don't think Cena's last match is going to be for the title. I think Cena loses. Cena's going to lose the title at SummerSlam. I can almost guarantee you he will lose the title at SummerSlam. He's going to be off probably a couple of months for that final ramp up and run into November. So, yeah. By default, honestly, after this title run, even if there isn't a double turn, Cena will return a babyface. He'll be champ.
Yeah. I think if everything stays true to your prediction with the double turn at SummerSlam, Roman got such a babyface reaction, and he pulled up Jey Uso at the end of the night, extended his hand towards him. Roman's totally babyface now. Do you have Roman take the belt off of Cody as the bad guy at some point?
Maybe. Let's get through SummerSlam first.
Yeah,
You know. Last thing, Roxanne doesn't surprise me whatsoever. There's a lot of value for Keon's contract. Are you kidding me? What you're paying him? I think the Kings would have a really hard time parting ways with him. I do. Well, you know what? I take that back. Monty McNair would have had a really hard time parting ways with him. But yeah, he'd be perfect. I've told you, Rock. I've told everybody here. He is a universal piece. He fits every other 29 teams in the NBA. Just remember, you heard it from me first. All right, order in the court. How do you know I haven't heard things like that, Rock? I'm just not talking about them because it's not responsible. But we'll give it to you first. Order in the court. Ordered. Woo. Woo! Okay, last thing. This is going to be a little bit of a rant, and we got to get out because we're running long. This whole Goldberg thing about Goldberg not saying, Gunther, you're last, leaving the door open for another match. We went through the Undertaker thing that you thought was going to be Goldberg's last match. We went through Roman, which you thought was going to be the last match, right? And this is the last match. You're in Atlanta. I thought the build was fine. It was short. It was what it was supposed to be. Then you have like the whole like thing where there was a miscommunication about whether he should start the speech after the show goes off to the air. Maybe Bill was pissed about being told your speech is off air and decided to start it anyways. So he's spouting off about the possibility of maybe doing his own final last match. This guy's just digging his legacy, which to me is not deep, into the grave. Like, sick of it. He's got a son who's under NIL right now with the WWE, but he's like, the WWE doesn't really pay that much money. Like, dude's about to bury his son. Bill Goldberg should just go away, right, Adam?
Yeah. I think that they did do him dirty a little bit by limiting his speech. Give him his moment, right? Like, he does deserve that.
He's had 2 of them. Those were supposed to be his last matches.
But what?
He kept coming. He kept pitching them. I think he was using his damn son as leverage to keep getting opportunities. Because they're going to want to get in the, they love the second generation, third generation stuff.
Yeah, 100%. Why wouldn't you? Speaking of which, Kristen Cage's son taking the belt off.
I know.
There's a lot of conversation about Christian Cage's wife. Yeah. Bill Goldberg always feels like something's owed to him.
Yes.
And that's not the reality. Does he deserve something? Absolutely. Did he get it? Yes. Was it executed well? No. I think you should have given him that mic time so that he could have ridden off into the sunset. And we could say confidently that, yes, we sent him out the right way. Because there was some stuff that got messed up in his last farewell match or whatever you want to call it. And so this is like the redemption, but we didn't redeem it. And so I think at this point, like, we just have to move on from it. And it is what it is. And they screwed up and they, but also you're talking about an NBC show. NBC is top
national TV.
major network. They have to stick to their timeline with commercial breaks. There's no give there. It's
No.
not going to happen. So when the time ends, the time ends. Could they have probably told them in the ring, hey, you need to end it sooner? And they would have. They could have done that. And I think that's where they could have pivoted. You already had a match cut short that night with Seth Rollins and LA Knight. So how did you go over? That's my question.
And how did you possibly break a referee's rib?
Did break a referee's rib, who also took a shot from John Cena less than a month ago. Is he reckless in the ring? Some may say. I think Bret Hart was probably the one hitting the switch for NBC.
He was reckless when he was in control of his body.
Yeah. I think he's still in control of his body. All you need to know about Bill Goldberg is watch that clip when he's at that celebrity golf tournament and he tosses that dude almost into a boulder before he lands in a pond. That tells you everything you need to know. You haven't seen that clip? Pull that up.
I'm not pulling that up right now. I don't want to end the show there. Some kid almost hitting no.
Yeah, some guy like rushes Bill Goldberg during a celebrity golf tournament while he's on the green, and he like fake punches Goldberg, and then Goldberg grabs him by the collar of his shirt in the belt, and he tosses him into the pond. But he almost threw him into a gigantic boulder before he hits the pond. And that's real. And, I'm not, whatever. I'll leave it at that.
He was I'm going to end here. He was what WCW needed at that time. He got built probably way stronger than he should have booking wise, which then by default made him a star in the company. And you have a dude that doesn't really know what he's doing. Like, if you had to put like the list together of the wrestlers, he's on there with the Ultimate Warrior. They're just in business for themselves. And I was a Warrior fan.
Yeah.
Like he's just in business for himself. He's not, like there's this whole thing about the business and like, you see like how the wrestlers follow it to a code. Like if the littlest things, I'm sure you were told things when you went backstage about like conduct and like, don't look people in the eyes. If you look somebody in the eye, you should probably try to shake their hand, but even you trying to shake their hand means like you have enough clout to be able to stop them and talk to them. You need to be introduced by somebody that shakes. Anyways. So like for him to have like no disregard for any of that, just like whatever, man. Or complete disregard.
I'm not saying that she is the same, but I feel like she's on the same trajectory as Bill Goldberg. And I'm going to call out Stephanie Vaquer. And I hate that WWE is pushing her the same way that WCW pushed Bill Goldberg, that this chick just wins everything that comes her way.
But she is a legit trained and experienced, world traveled wrestler. I thought you were going to say she needs to, thought you were going to say that her, what do they call it? Wardrobe, that her wardrobe is a tad, like her wardrobe is just teetering on too short every single time.
I can think of more teeterers.
I don't know, man.
It's her butt move that has propelled her for the most part, in my opinion. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of seeing Stephanie Vaquer win freaking everything that comes her way. I think there's a lot more deserving people on the roster. I think, she just got to WWE, to NXT, and then they just skyrocket her. And that's my problem with a lot of some of the new talent that comes through. Jacob Fatu is an exception for me. I think that dude's awesome, but I don't get it with Stephanie Vicaire. She sort of feels run of the mill to me, in my opinion.
Well, they need to give her a better entrance. That's the first thing. Like Jacob Fatu,
horns.
I've already told you what the horns. It's an awkward image.
It sucks. She can't even ring.
Okay. Part of the reason Jacob was like boom because his entrance was ridiculous too.
Well, they set him up.
Okay. But here's my point. She was never meant to be in NXT for a long time. The plan was for her to come straight up and be successful. She still had to stay a little bit longer than they expected, but that was the plan. And that's why they put her over as the first one to hold both belts, right? The same plan was supposed to be with Ricky Saints. He's in an NXT and he is best buds with Cody, and he ain't coming up anytime soon.
No,
because he needs a lot more work. Stephanie didn't. That tells you like the difference. In Ricky was pretty good in AEW. He needs a different name, man. Like if you were Ricky Starks, then just be Ricky Stars in WWE. Ricky Saints is just so, and then you got to do something to buy that music. WWE is trying to own all of the music of the wrestlers, and some of the AEW ones own their own songs. And so I don't know if it's a case where AEW owns Ricky's theme or Ricky owns his theme, but I think you're getting a completely different like reception and look at the talent. If you have the name difference, you have the same song that he had in AEW. What if Cody would have come out to a new song 3 WrestleManias ago? Would he have gotten that pop? Nope.
No one would have known who it was.
Right.
There's always that adjustment. Like that stuff happens. There's always going to be a adjustment period with the fans where they're like, "Oh wait, who the hell's coming out?" But yeah.
All right.
You're right.
Closing thoughts.
Closing thoughts. Let me hit you with something. Where do I want to go? Nikki Bella.
Yes.
You beat Chelsea Green, our United States champion in our hearts. Freaking way. Get Nikki Bella the hell out of WWE. Have your one match, but don't stick around.
Yeah, I'm with you. I
Do
can't.
it, be done, and get the hell out. But you're not beating Chelsea Green. That's BS.
Yep. I hear you. It's kind of like the Trish Stratus formula. Do your thing, leave.
Ugh,
So,
all
right. Good segment, long segment. Have a great weekend. SmackDown tonight.
Yeah, it started 18 minutes ago, 19 minutes ago.
All right, brother. Be well.
I love the King's Court.
Woo! King's Court loves you, man. Send us the bill for the backstage access.
Hey, I made the song today.
You've always been in the song. You just realized that today?
Well, usually I get caught up and I can't hop in right at 5. So the new song was the first time today where I was like, oh my gosh, Adam's in the ring. Love it.
Yep, you've always been in it. All right, brother. Be well.
All right. Love you, dude.
Love you too, brother. Kicking you out.
Allow me to introduce you to the man who is the epitome.
Yeah, what would we say? Adam is the epitome of. I'll leave it to you. I have a lot of positive things that I would say. BG, appreciate the love. Long segment, not for everybody, but we do know that many of you enjoy it and have a pretty good conversation when it comes to the WWE. Don't leave it to them. Yeah, for sure. Okay, it's been a fun Friday. It's been a fun week. I may or may not hit you with a yeah, Paul, if you guys have been listening to anything that I mean, there is some, insight and knowledge and work that goes into my opinions. I mean, I've been sitting here saying Keon's a universal piece for since the season ended. Like, you can't lose that universal piece. Fits with every other team in the NBA. $2 million contract. Yeah, a lot of teams could use a Keon Ellis. A lot of teams. It's not like Keon's going to go on and be a star, but he'll do well at what he does well here, which is defend. Keon, and I asked Jerry this. I think Grant and I had the conversation too. His ability to recover is unlike anything that comes to the top of my mind with another player. When I would watch Steph Curry beat Keon Ellis with a pump fake, and then Keon still be able to be quick enough to recover and affect Steph's shot, it just kind of blew my mind. You know, we've seen some of those freaky plays from De'Aaron Fox where he's playing center field, or maybe he gets beat a little bit. He had one maybe it was 2 seasons ago defensively. But Keon has so many of those at so many times that, like, if you're not looking closely, yeah, it's good stuff. So really good stuff today. Appreciate everybody. Don't forget the Kings semifinals tomorrow, 1 p.m. against the Toronto Raptors. That'll be on ESPN. I agree with you, Paul. As long as I think we're on the same page, there's a difference between quickness and speed. I kind of agree with you, Paul. Keon, you know what? I would say this. I'm confident saying this. Keon is easily in the top 10 in the NBA of the hardest guys to screen. He is one of the slipperiest guards in the NBA when it comes to trying to hit him on a screen, which is why I think some people, I know Doug got frustrated when Keon picked up a technical for flopping coming off of a screen, and it was a flop. Keon tried to argue it. He saw the screen coming. It was not too far above the three-point line, maybe 2 steps beyond the three-point line, and Keon ended up all the way at center court. Yeah, those are those tiny little plays that you don't like from anybody, and that's the only time I can think of Keon, doing one of those plays. But again, last year was a different year. So Kings tomorrow, semifinals, first game of 2. Decide the championship game that'll be played on Sunday. Keep an eye out for my X account. I do not know if I'm going to do a post-game show or not. We will see, but I will definitely be live tweeting during the game. Hope you enjoy it. Again, if you weren't with us earlier, the Raptors have played 3 close games and had 1 big blowout. But the one thing that stands out is the first quarter. They are a -21 in Summer League during the first quarter. So you need the Kings to come out and punch them in the mouth right away. So, all right, have a great weekend. Be safe, be well. Thank you for making it a great week around here on the Kings Court. Appreciate all of you. Might see you this weekend here on the chat and on the screen if the Kings keep winning. But either way, enjoy what you're going to do. Go Kings like the beam. Court is dismissed.
Order in the court.
Hello, Friday.